In September of 2022, I found out that I could no longer have gluten or wheat or dairy. Yeah, that's the hat trick. I had eaten foods containing and made from gluten, wheat, and dairy my entire life, but something happened. Apparently, something switched inside my body that said no to their consumption. As I revisit the folds of my memory a million or more times since finding out this news, I can trace the first instance of issues back to 2016. In fact, I know the precise day. It was a good day at work, and after work, we were all going out to wish our manager well in his new position. He was leaving our team, and we were throwing him a farewell dinner. I had pizza and a small salad for dinner, and everything was fine while at the restaurant, socializing with coworkers, and everything was fine during my drive home. After being home for a while, I peeled and sauteed some fresh peaches and served them over vanilla frozen yogurt. We settled in, eating our peaches and frozen yogurt while watching TV, and about a half hour later, things started to go downhill fast. I felt an enormous sense of pressure building just north of my belly button, right at my xiphoid process. Things escalated quickly, and I became very nauseated. Hunched over, barely able to stand at that point, I made my way to the bathroom as I thought to myself, maybe I'm having a heart attack. I was suddenly extremely tired, and not like a, wow, I had such a long day at work kind of tired, but a sudden and extreme kind of tired that almost wouldn't even let me open my eyes. My eyelids felt weighted down, and I couldn't stand light. I asked that the bathroom light be turned off. Then, out of nowhere, I began to sweat profusely. So profusely that while sitting on the commode, when I was able to remove my pajamas, with assistance, of course, they could be wrung out. All of it was happening so quickly, my brain just couldn't keep up. It couldn't process what was happening. Now, knowing my fate at that point, literally naked on the commode, I reached for the trash can. I knew what was coming, but honestly, I welcomed it. I needed relief. The pain in my abdomen was excruciating. I'm not joking when I say that in that moment, I thought I was going to explode. And I mean that literally. I thought that my abdomen was going to spontaneously open and all of my organs would spill out onto the bathroom floor. I did explode, just in a different way. I like to call it the North Pole, South Pole experience. I think you know what I mean. This was the crescendo, and it was a violent crescendo. It lasted too long, just over an hour, and when it had finally passed, I jumped in the shower and spent the rest of the evening resting and sipping water to rehydrate. I figured I had gotten food poisoning from the restaurant, so I checked with a coworker who had eaten the same thing to see if he was okay. He said he was, so what else should I assume? It must have been a one-off, unfortunate food poisoning experience. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. But that would prove not to be the case, because the same range of symptoms that happened that night would randomly happen for the next 6 years. There didn't seem to be any correlation. I ate gluten, wheat, and dairy every day in some form or another, and I didn't have symptoms every day. It would happen maybe once a month. Sure, you may be thinking, wow, he must be a real idiot. How could she not think food was the issue? Well, that's fair, but I figured if it was food, it would be happening every day because we eat food every day, right? Eventually, it came to a point where I just wasn't feeling well on more of a regular basis. One day, I even went to the ER, and they did a CT with contrast of my abdomen and pelvis, and that all checked out fine. The doctor at the ER said he suspected IBS. Through sheer determination and grit, I found someone who listened to me and my symptoms and is geared more toward functional medicine. I had my first appointment with her, explained all of my symptoms, and showed her journals and calendars of notes that I had feverishly jotted down over all those years. Okay, it wasn't that many journals and calendars, but There were a lot. My hope was that somewhere down the line, the dots would be connected for me. I told her I wanted a food intolerance test, I wanted a GI map, and I asked her what other tests she suggested. She agreed with all of the testing I wanted and added a few other general blood tests. After pricking my finger for the food intolerance test, doing a bit of a science experiment in the bathroom for the GI map samples, cutting a lock of hair for a HTMA test, and getting some other blood tests done, I received the test results from all of these tests within a little over 2 weeks and then within just days of each other. I received my GI map results first, and it was fascinating. I learned that I had no parasites, no strange little trolls living in there, no H. pylori, no other really bad stuff, but I did lack two very important strains of bacteria, and there was some SIBO and leaky gut going on. My calprotectin and other hallmark markers for inflammation were all in the clear, so really good news there. I then received my food intolerance test results. I was tested for 176 foods and additives, and I'm confident in these test results because this test is doctor ordered. It isn't a test you can purchase yourself for food intolerance. Curious about this, I asked my functional medicine doctor what the difference was between the test that she was ordering for me and those that can be purchased online by anyone. She said that the test she uses tests for both IgG and IgA, as well as other very important markers like zonulin and candida. So, after opening my test results, at the very tippy top of those results, screaming in the red zone, was casein and cow's milk. A punch in the gut. In the orange zone, just below the red zone, is where wheat, both gluten and gliadin, as well as whole wheat live for me, and good old polysorbate 80. If you've never heard of polysorbate 80 and you're having gut problems, look into it. In the yellow zone, or the lowest reaction zone, is agave, spinach, goat's milk, and a few other little odds and ends for me. This was all a lot to process. I was shocked. This meant no more real milk, no more cheese, no more bread, no more crackers, no more anything. I grieved. I grieved hard for about 72 hours, and during that time, I started to think about things my grandma used to say to me. One of the things she always said was, "You never know what you can do until you have to." And yes, that's me and my grandma. I knew I had to cut these foods out, and I figured maybe she was right. Maybe I can do this. I threw myself into the world of gluten and dairy free, buying different flours, trying different ratios, buying dairy free cheeses. There were and still are many days of frustration, but I continue to tell myself that I still deserve to enjoy food. On this journey to date, I've created and perfected a multitude of recipes. Friends continue to tell me that I need to create a channel and share the recipes, write a cookbook, and even offer classes. This channel is step one, and the cookbook is in progress. Classes, well, we'll see about that. I'm not too sure. Being told that you can no longer consume things that comprise a majority of the foods you eat is absolutely overwhelming and truly a complete life change. I constantly see people online saying they've just been diagnosed with celiac or non-celiac gluten intolerance and they don't know where to begin. They don't know what to do. I know what that feels like, but I'm here to tell you that you can still enjoy food. You can still enjoy the things you did before, just in a different way with different ingredients. But the most important thing that you have to do is be willing to put in effort. You have to be willing to endure and graciously accept some failures. It's okay. It's going to happen. Remember, you get what you give. It's even more heart-wrenching for me when I hear that someone's child has just been diagnosed. And as a parent, you're having to steer this ship for them. And let's be honest, we don't want to ride like this one for ourselves or our child. We want something that looks more like this. When being presented with this news, it's very important to remember that the most important foods don't contain gluten. Chicken, beef, fish, pork, fruits, and vegetables are all gluten free and should be the real focus of mealtime. Most people immediately think about the foods on the periphery when they're told they can no longer have gluten and or dairy. Breads, cookies, pies, cakes, scones, and all of the other baked goods and snacks, but those are secondary. But I get it. I get it. I do. Those are the things that taste really good to us, and we don't want to lose them. But focus on the real food first. I'm going to teach you how to make meals, desserts, and snacks that all taste amazing. Yes, it's possible to have good tasting food without gluten or dairy. And maybe you're even luckier than I am and you can still have dairy. Now, you may be wondering about the channel name. I can explain. Over the years, I've immersed myself in a range of hobbies, and in addition to the cooking and baking, I've hung on to a couple that I really enjoy. I love learning. I've been woodworking and making soap for many years now, so in addition to the gluten and dairy free recipes, don't worry, I won't show any furniture builds, but you may see a video here and there showing how to make a wooden table centerpiece or small home decor pieces or holiday themed woodworking projects, and maybe even how to make a batch of soap. I'm glad you're here and I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you to discover a whole new world of good food in a different way. Stick with me. And as my grandma used to say, let's get started immediately, if not sooner.